I don't know if I should save this for like when we're actually talking about the movie, but it also fits like with what we're talking about right now because after Oppenheimer, I went to see The Monkey, which is that movie's directed by Oz Perkins,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Son of Anthony Perkins
Anthony Perkins?
from Psycho, like the killer in Psycho,
Oh, wait, really?
and also the son of
Oh,
Barry
shit.
Berenson, who is the sister of Marissa Berenson, who played Lady Lyndon in Barry Lyndon.
Wait a minute.
Isn't
What the
that
hell?
crazy?
Oh, Marissa Berenson. Oh, shit. Dude, that's
Isn't that
wild.
nuts?
Ladies and gentlemen, prepare for a cinematic odyssey through the 100 greatest films spanning from the roaring 1920s to the cutting-edge masterpieces of 2024. Carefully curated from the lovely people on Letterboxd. Two intrepid souls embark on a journey through a treasure trove of timeless classics and groundbreaking contemporary works, where each frame embodies the enduring magic of the silver screen. Grab your popcorn and join us on this epic expedition through a century of cinematic excellence, where every film promises to enchant, inspire, and leave an indelible mark on the soul. And now, for your listening pleasure, here are the LetterBros.
Welcome, everybody, to the newest episode of LetterBros, where we let a wheel decide our fate and what movie we will watch next, based off the top 100 movies on Letterboxd. As always, I'm a sickly little Felix,
Oh
and
no.
that is Parker.
Sorry you're not feeling too well, buddy.
Yeah, I'm having to put on like the late night ASMR voice today.
That would probably make me feel worse.
Oh,
You mean
really?
like your voice is the ASMR voice? Okay.
Correct.
Phew. I thought you were doing some like ASMR therapy. I'm like, dude.
If you watched last episode, you would have seen that we pulled our first Stanley Kubrick film on the list. One of two, I think. But we pulled a pretty big one with Barry Lyndon last week. And it's a I'll let Parker jump into the synopsis before I,
Sure. There's a
sort of
lot
give
to
my
unpack
opinions on
here.
this
I mean,
movie.
it's a whole lifetime's worth of stuff packed into 3 hours. So, yeah, we have Barry Lyndon, which is a period drama directed by Stanley Kubrick. It chronicles the rise and fall of an 18th century Irish adventurer named Redmond Barry. We watch and follow as he transforms from a naive young man into the cunning Barry Lyndon, navigating the tumultuous world of European aristocracy through a series of relationships, duels, and betrayals.
And boy is it. I mean, speaking of just like not very in line with like ASMR, but like I've never seen such a chill movie with so much going on in it. And I don't
A
know if you
chill
felt that
movie?
way.
Would you describe
I
this
think
as a
like
chill movie?
I think it's like the movie is so chill for like 75% of it. Like I feel like this movie is just like the equivalent of like your parents going on vacation and just like taking a camcorder and going around and and showcasing all of like where they've been.
That's a
But
great way to describe it.
because it fucking is, but you know what? It's amazing.
Well, I was about to say by chill, did you mean boring?
Like
But
there was
no,
just
you
like
mean
it's just
chill.
immaculate vibes.
Okay.
Like from and this will obviously bleed into like my suspension of disbelief like score, but like Stanley Kubrick like puts you in the 18th, like the 17th 18th century and like doesn't take you out of it. I don't feel like.
Totally. And so do the actors.
Yeah, they do. Like the sets, like all like I'm pretty sure like all the sets are because they're not sets. They're all shot on location, I think, like throughout Ireland and England and just like dude, Kubrick knows what he's doing with a fucking camera.
Now, I wanted to ask right off the bat, this is not your first Stanley Kubrick movie, right?
No.
What other Kubrick films have you seen? I've only seen The Shining. That's the only other Stanley Kubrick film I've seen. And I
I've
didn't like it.
seen I've seen 2001, The Shining, and then I started Doctor Strangelove, but I fell asleep because it was like really late at night, but I need
Mhm.
to finish it.
Okay. And have you liked his entire filmography or
So The Shining, yes, but The Shining, it was different because we watched a documentary about The Shining right before The
Mm,
Shining, and it was in a movie, like it was in like the student theater at the University of Miami.
that is really cool. So it was a whole
Yeah,
experience.
it was. So like you got to hear about all of these like conspiracy theories about The Shining and then watch it. So then you're like seeing all of these clues to like what you just watched. And
Right.
then 2001, I feel like 2001 I need to rewatch it again because I watched it on a phone.
Oof. Not the way to
Yeah.
watch that movie
So I need to
or any
rewatch it
movie.
again. Like, but I mean, that one, it's the same thing. It's just like it's immaculate vibes. Like it's almost like Robert Eggers type, like just immersion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like very much of like how like I mean, did you watch Nosferatu?
I have.
Yeah. So it's just like it's an aura. And that's what I feel like this movie is. And it's like typical 70s fashion where like they just smudge the lens in like Vaseline so everything looks like nice and greasy, but I mean it adds to it.
That's what I do with my laptop camera. I have a lot of notes for this movie. However, I also, unfortunately, it took me like I think it took me 4 sittings to watch the movie, which
Yeah, it took me like two.
it I think that's partially my fault and partially, honestly, partially the movie's fault. There are times like I just have to go to sleep. Like I cannot continue watching a 3-hour movie and still wake up in time for the things that I have to do the following day. But also, I didn't really mind turning it off, and I found that sometimes like when it got to the third watching, I didn't really want to turn it back on all that much, and I enjoyed it passively, but I wouldn't say I was super eager to dive back into it. And I'm not a huge fan of chopping up movies like that. I would way rather just watch it in one sitting. So maybe I didn't give it a full fair shake, but on the whole I agree with you. I think that you put it into words really well in terms of the way that it kind of peruses the lifetime of Redmond Barry. And what I do find interesting about this movie is that he is such a protagonist at first, and then he just becomes this douchebag that is
Yeah.
impossible to sympathize with. And that's cool. Like I don't mind when a movie throws you like, somebody you're supposed to be caring for and they make poor decisions. I think that we're seeing that more nowadays too in movies. But I just didn't really care to watch what was happening to him because he was such a douche in a way that didn't really feel like super backed up in my opinion. Like especially when he's out there cheating on Lady Lyndon. I felt that it just kind of it felt unnecessary. It felt like it was
Yeah.
thrown to make Barry look like such a bad person when we had watched him, stand up for himself and do all these things to get to that point. I don't know. I thought it kind of fell off towards the third act. Uh,
Yeah. I found myself literally like because I had to also do it in two sittings because like yes, like I have a life and I want to like, get some decent rest, but it was funny because I was like, dude, I wonder if there's an intermission. And there fucking was. And I was
yeah.
like, perfect. Shuts computer off and like, watches the rest of it the next day.
Yeah, and that's not bad. I would say I definitely enjoyed the first hour and 42 minutes prior to the intermission more than I enjoyed the rest of the movie.
Yeah, like his like uprising and becoming Barry Lyndon was probably my favorite part of the movie. And then when he is Barry Lyndon and like we see his like downfall, it's when I'm like, it's hard. It's like you said, it's hard to sympathize with him because the choices that he's making just make him look like a terrible person. Like you find yourself like
There's
you
nothing to
find
back
yourself
it up.
rooting for like Lord Bullingdon like towards the
Yeah,
end, even though like he's
definitely.
kind of like he's also a piece of shit. Like
He
I don't really like him either, but
The only person I truly sympathize with to a great extent would be Lady Lyndon, I would say. And even
yeah,
she is
she
like,
goes through a lot.
but she's also just such a passive character. She's so passive.
Mhm.
And I get that. And the actress Marissa Berenson did such a good job of having that vacant, hopeless look at times in the movie where you really do sympathize and you can tell she's trying to figure out a way out of all of this and just feels completely stuck in her circumstances.
And I
And
don't even
that was
feel like
all
she even
portrayed
wants to
without
be in it in the
words.
first place, like, you never really see her, like, happy,
Right.
like, through this relationship, like, even, like, when he, like, awkwardly, like, sees her for the first time by just, like, popping up behind her and, like, after that, like, I don't know. I never really felt like they had like true chemistry, but and that they
No,
were really only connected because of the birth of Brian, who R.I.P. dude. That's a good kid actor.
yeah, yeah. Shoot, there was something I wanted to say, and now it just popped out of my mind. What were you saying about Lady Lyndon and Barry? Oh, I feel like there's no real, like, it's a very awkward movie. Like, there's a lot of awkward circumstances in this movie, which is somewhat
Yeah.
entertaining and also somewhat just like makes it more difficult to watch, especially when there's not a lot happening. It For a movie that has so much happening, like so much happen in it, very little happens throughout it.
Yeah, I think that's what I was like trying to like say, even though like I'm not great with words, is that like Kubrick mixes all of these like incredible shots. Like I don't think I've seen a movie like shot as well as this, which again I'll have to rewatch 2001. But there's so much going on, but I feel like I was just so in awe of like the composition of each shot that I was kind of just like just taken aback. But then all of a sudden there's like a duel and you're now put in this tense situation. You're like, wait, no, like take me back to the vacation videos, like, please. But you're right, like there's so little that happens but so much like baggage that these characters hold throughout the story, and I feel like that kind of like adds to the charm of the movie, that like so much happens but it doesn't put so much on the audience to watch it,
Right.
where you're just like, oh yeah, he's committing adultery, but like
I
look how good the costumes look.
exactly, exactly. I think it would have been far more interesting, and obviously I'm not the director, and Stanley Kubrick is a great, and this movie is incredibly well renowned. But
Hmm.
my personal preference, instead of spending 20 to 30 minutes showing him having pointless affairs, like we have a harsh jump cut into like a foursome that he's having with people just having a
Oh
conversation
yeah.
in the background. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I would have been far more interested in a genuine like political thriller where he's trying to navigate the aristocracy. I did not say that word correctly?
Aristocracy.
Where, right, thank you. Where he's trying to navigate the aristocracy as someone
Mhm.
who is completely new to this type of life and trying to see him adapt to that and maybe even have to manipulate people. And maybe there is an affair that he has, but it feels earned. Like it feels like there's a reason to it instead of just a boom, sudden
Yeah,
orgy out of nowhere. And then he's just making out with some ugly ass maid across the river while Lady Lyndon's
correct.
walking with her son. And like it
Oh,
just
yeah,
gives
that
us
shot is
every reason.
crazy.
It gives us every reason to be on Team Bullington.
Yeah.
And
I
even
feel
when
like if this movie teaches you one thing, is never to fall in love with your cousin.
yeah, but that was
'Cause
just
this
thrown
is, like,
away. Like that's how the movie
literally the turning
starts.
point of the entire movie. Like, if he would have just given a toast at, like, his cousin's, like, engagement party pretty much, like, this all could have been avoided.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, like, you're right. He just
I have a note that says got fucking Ron DeSantis as a British officer. Did you see the
oh my
resemblance?
god.
What was his name? Quinn?
Yeah, Captain John Quinn,
Yeah.
played by Leonard Rossiter.
There's a lot of
Which, like,
kissing on the
again, like,
lips in
I
this movie.
really like, all of, like, the battle sequences and, like, all of those shots were probably, like actually, no, like, they were really good, and I really liked them, but, I mean, all the compositions when we're, like, at these royal palaces were, like, my favorite shots of the movie, like,
I
it's
think my
just
favorite scene in the film was when Barry's in the British Army and he's shit talking that big old redhead, and the guy sitting next to him is feeding him all the lines to call him out, and then
yeah.
Barry just beats his ass. I loved it. I thought that
Which
was
I
great.
was also like, "Dude, how?
Yeah, I mean, he
How
whooped
did he
him.
just acquire all of these just, like, karate skill not karate, obviously, but, like, all of these just, like, incredible fighting skills?" Like, it's just nuts.
Yeah,
But
this movie's just full of wacky shit.
that's the thing too, I'm like, this movie is, like, oddly hilarious.
There's a a a a bath with a royal chair attached to it at some point in this movie. Do you remember
Oh,
this?
yeah,
Right
yeah,
after the
yeah, I know what you're
intermission.
talking about.
What even just seeing that is somewhat entertaining and
I
just
feel like
kind of
it just
stupid.
goes and leads into just like the whole fucking like vibe of the movie. It's just like just ridiculous things that like the wealthy have acquired, and just him basking in that because that's what he thinks he's always wanted. Like,
Mhm.
and he's just enjoying the riches of it. And I feel like that leads into him, committing adultery, where he was literally like, I cannot live my life without loving my cousin. And now he's loving every single woman out there.
Yeah.
I think, oh, there's one note that I have. There's a line that literally mentions America,
Mhm.
where they said, like, he sent men to fight the rebels in America. And I said,
Mhm.
yeah, good fucking luck, bro. But I mean, just overall, like, this whole movie was just like a vibe. There were obviously some like things that I could have done without in the movie,
Tons of things.
but I feel like just the environment that Kubrick puts you in throughout the movie makes up for it, and I could see why people return to this movie over and over again,
Mhm. I guess I
because
could
it's
to some degree.
like, yes, there's a lot that happens, but it's a pretty comforting movie in like a very weird way. Like, it's almost like it's
I
really
disagree.
weird to like
I do not
kind of
find
say,
this
but
movie comforting.
it's like Stanley Kubrick lo-fi.
You're
It's,
full of zingers today.
I
Stanley
know
Kubrick
it's
lo-fi. Parents' vacation camera.
like picture of him at a desk with headphones on. I feel like we can kind of dive more into the rankings
Let's
if
do it.
you feel comfortable, but let me grab some water. All right, bet. I'm ready to jump right in. All right, so for enjoyability and rewatchability, this might come as a surprise to you, but I gave it a 10 out of 15.
Okay.
So, like, just again, I really liked, and I can see why people continue to return to this movie. I mean, Barry Lyndon, it's like consistently in people's top fours and like Letterboxd videos, and I could see why. The vibes are immaculate, as I kept saying, but the story is not something that hooks me to want to watch this movie again. So I feel like, while yes, like watching the movie was very enjoyable, I feel like a lot of that is what contributes to the score, because I don't feel like I would rewatch this movie anytime soon.
You said this might surprise me. Did you think I thought you were going to go higher or lower?
Yeah, as I usually go higher.
Okay. I gave this movie same as It's a Wonderful Life, 6 out of 15.
Oh
I
my
don't really
god.
see the repeat appeal of this movie. It's this very similar feeling I had with The Shining when I watched it. I just don't think I could sit down and churn that out again. I wouldn't really be eager to, at least.
I
And
also
I
just
really
feel like Kubrick's movies are meant to be enjoyed like in the biggest screen you possibly could, and I feel like that is where people might find it a little bit more enjoyable to watch, because I certainly liked The Shining watching it in a theater, and then watching it at home I feel like I was falling asleep.
really okay. I mean, that's fair. But yeah, I'll stick it with a 6. Maybe if it were playing in theaters, I would go see it. Yeah, but I think that would probably be the only reason I would. It's not one of those movies where I think I'm gonna pick up a whole lot more on a second watch, right? I don't really feel as though I'm going to say, "Oh, that's what led to this 40 minutes later," and connect all the dots. It just really doesn't strike me as that type of movie.
No,
For
me neither.
for a story, like I said earlier, for a movie that has a lot happen over the course of its runtime, very little happens during the runtime. I mean, we spend several minutes just at Brian's birthday party, which I understand is meant to build more of a connection between Brian and his family and make him more lovable before he's ultimately killed. I didn't care. Like it just didn't
Yeah,
it
I
didn't
felt the
progress the
same way.
story
I felt like
whatsoever.
Brian never really got like a full like development for us to like, yeah, like genuinely care after he like falls off his horse, which like still that scene of him with like him and his mom, like when he's laying in the bed, like it's sad. Like you do feel really bad for this kid, but not,
Mhm.
there's not a connection. Like it's me just like looking at a child that's dying and be like, obviously that's sad, but I'm not like, oh my god, Brian is dying.
This movie struck me as a much prettier, much less interesting Catch Me If You Can, with Barry Lyndon as an old timey Frank Abagnale Jr. And if I had to revisit one of those two movies, it would most certainly be Catch Me If You Can, uh,
Oh yeah.
despite the fact that none of it even actually happened. I give this movie a 7 out of 15 for its story, simply because I feel as though there's so much superfluous material throughout the runtime where I would just rather have seen something completely different or not seen anything at all. What about you, Felix?
So that's where I'll kind of like disagree with you. I gave it a 12 out of 10 or out of 15, sorry. I thought the story that we got, well, yes, like it's not perfect. It's not the most like gripping story, but it is a very interesting story. And I feel like that score mainly is for part like the first part of the movie, because I found it to be very interesting to just kind of see him finagle his way to become a royal and literally take a lord's name. And then towards the down, if I feel like if the downfall of Barry Lyndon would have been just like a little bit more like hooked and infectious for me, I probably would have given it a higher score, like maybe a 14 or so, but I would probably lean closer to like an 11 than I would a 13. For lasting impression, I gave this an 11, not necessarily because like it's left a lasting impression on me. And obviously this movie has left an impression on Hollywood. A lot of people like this movie, so that's where I have to give it props.
Yeah, I agree with you in terms of the masses, and I think that I tend to lean a little bit more like on the side of what my personal lasting impression will be. I still like to take into consideration the genuine impact that the movie has had on pop culture, on the industry on the whole, and how much it's still revered to this day. However, I'm still going to land lasting impression at a 7 for a similar reason that I had issues with the story, because there's so much that in this movie that's just completely going to fall out of my brain. And very little other than the imagery and the performances in this film are going to stick with me continuously. I think that there's just a lot of stuff in this movie that is so easy to forget. For example, like, do you even remember having recently watched this movie that there is a love interest in which he stays with her for 3 days? She says, "I love you," and then we never see her again. And I
Dude,
understand
so
that it's
that was honestly, I wish that would have been the person that he stayed with, because I feel like that's the only woman he had a genuine connection to.
I didn't really feel that way. Yeah, I'm gonna land it there at a 7. I just think that there's so little that I'm gonna continue to think about when it comes to this movie. However, for the visual and auditory appeal, this also might come as a shock to you. I'm gonna say an 8 right now out of 10, because while it is all shot on location, like it looks great, and the music is timely, but also like kind of annoying. I don't know.
Mm.
How do you feel about that?
I gave it a 10.
Okay.
I mean, just like and this is gonna also bleed into like suspension of disbelief. Like it's like what you said. Like the music is very timely because it's very like seeped into the period that Kubrick is going for, and it just helps with like the immersion. Like the music is really nice, and just the shots are just insane. Like his composition and his like his shot selection and just like how he has the actors blocked in every shot. It's like you could
Mhm.
literally take a still from any point in this movie and you can hang it up in a museum.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
the movie is very picturesque. Like everything looks like a painting. The scene
mhm.
where Barry and Lady Lyndon are getting married, right after the intermission, the crowd in the background literally looks like they are painted there, or also as if they are on a big tarp and like edited in or somehow finagled. I'm not really
Yeah.
sure how to describe it, but I either really liked it or really didn't, because it either looked, I couldn't tell if I found it to be a little hokey looking or if I really liked how much it genuinely looked like a painting, like the background was created with a brush. I just am conflicted about the visual and auditory appeal because I'm trying to find the note. I have it notated that I really love the shot selection. I agree with you. The shots in this film are super well composed, and it gives you a lot to look at, especially with the blocking and kind of the awkwardness and the tension between characters.
And it kind of leaves you just with like that thought. You're just like, wait, what the hell just happened? And then all of a sudden Kubrick's like, don't worry about that. Look at this nice shot of a castle I just got. Like,
Right. But I did find the note, and honestly, I found the movie to be kind of dull, like kind of dull looking. Like, I agree, the shot
dull
composition was,
looking.
yes, like the imagery
Ooh.
was somewhat drab. It didn't feel we're getting so much to look at, but it didn't feel like it really popped off the screen. Does that make sense? It felt very gloomy in terms of the visuals of it.
I'm not really sure. I mean, like it just like I get what you're saying. Like you feel like that like these shots should be like exciting and like draw you in and like leave you like awe-inspired as opposed to just like they're just beautiful but they're not like they're not like
It didn't
hooking
evoke
you in or
emotion.
like
It's like
yeah.
I could appreciate the technical aspects at play, but it failed to evoke emotion in me. Whereas where you get something like Lawrence of Arabia, for example, where you have that shot of the sunrise or the sunset, and the first time we meet the one character, I forget his name, and he's riding up towards Lawrence. I mean,
Yeah,
I was literally I had goosebumps, right? Because of what I was seeing on the screen. And I just didn't get
that's
that a whole
fair.
lot with Barry Lyndon.
You know what, Parker? I'm gonna drop it to a 9
Wow,
just
look at
because of
that.
that.
Ended up
Yeah.
convincing the other way.
Well, yeah, because like you're right. Like you have to start thinking about it in terms of like the other movies we've seen. Like, well, yes, everything looks gorgeous in this movie. Everything sounds gorgeous in this movie, but I don't feel gorgeous watching this movie. Whereas, like you said, like Lawrence of Arabia, like you watch it and you're just like you're sucked into the story just from visuals alone.
Mhm.
So I can agree with you on that, and that is definitely going to change my score, but it's all right. For pacing, is where I give it a 6 out of 10.
Mhm.
I feel like again, the first half of this movie is really fun to watch. You want to continue to see the story as it goes through, but then once he does achieve his like success and his title, that's where the movie kind of falls off for me.
I agree with you. I give it a 5 out of 10, borderline a 4, but I'll park it at a 5. Just exactly what you said. This movie does not move quickly, and it doesn't move slowly in a way that feels necessary. For acting, I give it a 10 out of 10.
Wow.
I'm close to giving it a 9 because if I have to be completely honest, I didn't think that the actress that played Barry's mother was on the same tier as everyone else in the movie. Barry's mother was played by Marie Keene, and she had some moments where she was really fighting for Barry or fighting for money, and it just didn't necessarily feel incredibly authentic to me. So
Mm-mm.
her her performance alone almost brought it down to a 9 because when we've talked about it all the time, when there's just a little something off, like it's hard to give any category a perfect score. But I will because literally everyone else in this movie I thought did such an amazing job. I mean, Marissa Berenson, like I said, has such a vacant, hopeless look throughout the film and just really embodies that eternal despair of feeling stuck with your choices and not knowing where to go. Leon Vitale as Lord Bullington, while he's super like goofy, honestly, in my opinion, I thought he did a tremendous job of playing an entitled aristocratic kid. And Ryan O'Neal as Barry Lyndon, dude. I mean, what a performance. Like there's so much going on there throughout. And while I do wish that I got to see more, I think that everything that was given to the entire cast, they just ate it up and ran with it. I really thought the performances were the highlight of this movie.
Yeah. I mean, Kubrick knows how to get the good performances out of his actors, even
Yeah,
at
take 97.
Take 97. Yeah. Shout out Shelley Duvall. She dead though. And you know what's funny is I gave this a 9, and it was because I do agree with you. Everybody did very well in this movie. But when Barry's mom becomes this like kind of like loan shark gangster towards
Yeah.
the end of the movie, that's where I was like, is this the same person? Like I legit had to like kind of look up the Wikipedia article to be like, is this still Barry's mom? And it is Barry's mom.
Mhm.
And that was probably the one thing that deterred me from giving it a 10. Like I want to lean more, but I just it's like what you said, like if you really have to think about it, is it really a 10?
Right. That's true, and I might pop it down, and I do wanna say, maybe it's a direction thing, and maybe Kubrick was looking for this, but it would have been much more interesting to me if she were trying to manipulate these people in a more cunning and empathetic way, and where she's trying to come off as a caring mother figure for these people,
Mm-mm.
and yet
No,
she's
she's just
gaming
like,
them.
well,
She's
where's
very
the
abrasive. She's very
yeah.
abrasive, and
When
and
she's
she
like
doesn't.
firing like the
It's not
priest
genuine.
person in the family, it's just very like it's very out of character for her. She's like, we no longer need you. Like you can leave. Well, I'll leave if Miss Lyndon tells me. Well, I speak for Miss Lyndon, so like you can leave. Like,
Right, and it's not necessarily the dialogue, it's just the way that it was. I'll get should I drop it to a 9, Felix?
you
If you
do
gotta
whatever you want, man.
if
I
you
just
gotta
put the
think
number.
about it, I'll drop it to a 9. I'll drop it to a 9.
We
Sorry, guys, like,
And
everyone else was
honestly,
so
I
good.
was like, because not a lot of people like, not a lot of people like Ryan O'Neal's like acting in the movie. Like people are just more so for the vibe. So I was very surprised that like, because I also liked Ryan O'Neal's performance. Like I don't know what people are
Yeah,
talking about.
especially when it pertained to his son. I mean, there was such a genuine love and connection there. I mean, it's hard when he's telling him the story as he's dying, I mean, what an incredible powerhouse scene from O'Neal.
Yeah,
It
like
was
when you
insane.
like first meet Barry Lyndon, like in the beginning, like when he's just being like this pretentious, like
Simp.
snotty little teenager. I was like, if this is gonna be him the whole movie, I'm gonna go and like just jump off a bridge. But
But it kind of is. It kind of is him the whole movie.
yeah, but I
And
mean,
I
he
would agree.
develops and matures. Like you
Yeah.
literally see him develop throughout the movie. So I'm like, oh, that's where I'll give props to Ryan O'Neal. But where I do just say like, absolutely, this deserves a 10 is in the suspension of disbelief. Like to where you say the like the performances kind of hook you in, and obviously the visuals do as well. Like the costume design, the set design, the shots on location, like the choice of dial, everything hooks you and keeps you into the 17th and 18th century.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I'm gonna give it a 9. And where I agree that I was completely immersed in the setting of it, it was the circumstances that left me scratching my head at times. And I thought everything felt very authentic, except for some of the character decisions that we get throughout the film. Some of it does feel quite arbitrary, but not enough to drop it down below annoying. Not enough
Annoying.
to drop it below a 9. For
Yeah, you would
originality,
lean closer to a 10 than you would an 8.
honestly, it feels great right at just a 9. Like I'm not even leaning either which way on this one.
You
Um,
standing still.
yep. Originality, I wrote it down as an 8 out of 10, but I could pop it up. I want to hear your thoughts. Put it down as an 8 though.
I mean, I gave it a 9. Obviously, this movie is based on a novel, just like we talked about. But I just think that, like, for a period piece, and I feel like we get, like, more of them as we go along, but they always feel kind of, like, goofy. Like, I think of, like, it's really dumb, but, like, Pirates of the Caribbean or, like,
Yeah.
Nosferatu, which, like, obviously, like, Nosferatu, it's Eggers, so he wants to immerse you in the world and all of that. But at the end, I'm like, it's still like it's a really good looking horror movie.
Mhm.
This feels like you are being transported into that century and being told this story that like I didn't know whether to take it seriously or laugh at it. Like it's very odd. So I will say that the feeling it gave me felt very original, and obviously like the shot composition is unlike anything I have ever seen. And Kubrick in every film after that continues to just push the envelope for visuals. So I'll lead this as just another like golden star in his legacy.
Yeah, put me at a 9 for originality. I agree with you.
Noise. For attachment though, is where I'll give it a 2. Because it's, I mean, again, there are other Kubrick films out there that I like more than this one. So that's where it just falls for me.
I also give it a 2.
So that puts us deadlock at a 70, which puts it at a 3.5-star movie. I feel like that's blasphemy, dude.
I mean, it makes sense. You have it as a 4-star movie. I have it as a 3-star movie.
I mean,
And
fair. So where does that land us on the list? Just above It's a Wonderful Life, which,
no, no, no.
oh no. Oh,
It's a flat
below
70.
Sherlock Jr.
Yeah, right above City Lights.
Oh, Jesus. People are going to kill us, dude.
Sorry about it.
What year was
You're
this
not at
film?
fault here,
19.
Felix.
No, I'm not. It's both of us. We feel somewhat. Actually, no, we don't feel the same way. I have it as a 4-star. You have it as a 3.
Well, when I look at the movies above it, I genuinely agree.
You liked this movie less than It's a Wonderful Life?
Yes, I would say
Okay. Well, then that's
slightly,
fair.
slightly.
I still can't believe The Ascent is
I would
as
say it's on
high as it
par.
is.
I liked The Ascent. So this is interesting. We're really getting into it where we watch enough movies now where our personal preferences are definitely showing, and
Yeah,
I
like
love it. I
I'm
think
like
this
my
is why we did it.
brain wrinkles are hurting being like, did I really like? But yes, I did. It's just sad to see it on the lower side of the list. I thought this was going to be like in the middle a
Sure.
little bit more, but
And you know what? I think it might end up being in the middle, if not the lower middle, when all is said and done.
I feel so. But you know what time it is,
Oh, I
baby.
know it. I know it.
I know it. It's the best time of the week.
Every week, wheels getting a little smaller, fonts getting a
Exactly,
little
dude.
bigger.
I'm just seeing Across the Spider-Verse pass by. So I'm
My
gonna
eyes
say, oh
immediately
no,
landed
dude.
on Human Condition.
Oh my God, I just see Human Condition right now, so I'm gonna let it pass by. I feel like if I let them pass by, it might
I
just
forgot
not be it.
Whiplash is on here.
Whiplash is on here. You know what? That's what I'll hope for. I do love
Rear
Whiplash.
Window. There's Spider-Man. Silence of the Lambs. The
Perfect
Dark
Blue.
Knight.
Just saw Lord of the Rings again. Old, actually,
Seventh Seal.
official selection. I really hope we get
Rising.
Old Boy.
I would love Old Boy. I've been wanting to watch that movie forever. I think it's time though, Felix. We could talk about it all day, what we want to see, but it's not going to matter.
So let's just spin the damn thing, baby. All right, here we freaking go, dude.
Oh, as my battery starts.
Oh my God, are we getting it? Oh my God.
Nice. Okay. The sequel, baby.
The
So
freaking sequel, dude. Oh my
this is the
God.
second time we've pulled Return of the King.
It is the second time we've pulled Return of the King. So,
What is the second one
obviously,
called? Two Towers?
yes, the Two Towers.
All
Oh
right.
my God.
Let
I
me grab
didn't
my
think we
charger.
were going to get this so soon. Like, part of me, obviously, very excited, but I'm also kind of upset because I thought we were going to get this a little bit later.
Watch.
So,
Return
yes,
of the King will end up being
obviously,
our very last film. We're not going to pull it again until it's the last one remaining.
no, the last 2 movies we're going to see are the 2 Human Conditions. So for those listening, because I feel like we didn't even say it, so we pulled Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King for the second time on this podcast, but that means that we will be watching the Two Towers. So inevitably, we will be pulling Return of the King again.
At some point.
Exactly, but I will say, I mean, obviously, you see my. I freaking love these movies, dude.
All right, you run with it then. Give us the
All right.
ranking synopsis. Let us know.
Funny enough that we pulled a movie about Two Towers and we hear about what happened to
I thought it. I didn't say it.
I'll go there, dude. It's my birthday.
It's what?
I said it's my birthday.
September 11th?
Yeah, it's my birthday.
How did I not know that?
How did you not know that, dude? I feel like you did know that. For those, I feel like we were talking about that off air. But it's not Marissa Berenson. It's who? Barry Berenson.
Mm-hmm.
Marissa Berenson's sister, Barry Berenson, mother of Osgood Perkins, tragically died in the 9/11 attacks.
You didn't tell me that was your birthday.
Well,
Anyway,
surprise.
Two Towers.
Oh my God. So
Dude.
at the time of pulling, Two Towers was number 59.
Okay, now it's what, 51?
51. So it has gone up a bit, which we like. We always love seeing Lord of the Rings go up. So yes, we pulled The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers from 2002, once again directed by Peter Jackson. Ugh. 2002, directed by Peter Jackson. The Fellowship is broken. The power of darkness grows. Frodo Baggins and the other members of the Fellowship continue on their sacred quest to destroy the One Ring, but on separate paths. Their destinies lie at the Two Towers, Orthanc Tower in Isengard, where the corrupt wizard Saruman awaits, and Sauron's fortress at Barad-dûr, deep within the dark lands of Mordor. Frodo and Sam are trekking to Mordor to destroy the One Ring, while Gimli, Legolas, and Aragorn search for the orc-captured Merry and Pippin. All along, nefarious wizard Saruman awaits the Fellowship members at the Orthanc Tower in Isengard.
Jeez.
Yeah, this movie's great.
It has
But
an average rating of 4.4 on Letterboxd, by the way.
yes, correct. Sorry about that. So what I will suggest, because funny enough, I was just listening to our episode on Fellowship today. What I will suggest for Parker this time is to watch the extended version of the movie.
Of Fellowship or of Two Towers?
No, of Two Towers.
Oh, really? Okay.
Well, just because, like, listening to it, I think the big issue that you had with Fellowship is that you didn't really spend enough time getting to develop with these characters, I feel like.
Uh-huh.
So I think the extended cut might help out with that a little bit. So
I'll
I
have
feel
to debate it internally, because part of me is, my mind just works in the way of like, okay, well, I've already watched the first one as the theatrical cut, and this is my first time watching Two Towers, so shouldn't I just complete the trilogy as a theatrical cut, and then if I revisit it, do the extended cuts?
fair.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'll let you know.
Yeah.
Stay tuned to
We'll,
find
we'll
out.
wait till the episode and see what happens, dude.
Yeah.
But nice. I'm excited, dude. I'm glad that we're getting it. I'm kind of indifferent about getting it so soon, but I'm glad that we're just getting to continue to watch more Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I'm excited for it.
Same. But as always, Parker, where can people find you?
You can find me on Letterboxd at Parker_Paget, I think.
Well, you can find me on Letterboxd at ETZIO911, Ezio911, and follow us on Instagram, LetterBros Pod. But yeah, other than that, this is the LetterBros Podcast, and we will see you at the movies.